Hi everybody, this is part 3 of me reading my book. I actually am proud of this book. I just forgot what I wrote because I've been writing so many other books. But here we go. Calvin looked down. I didn't know she was capable of this. Teddy Bear's hand drifted to her pouch where the butterfly key pulsed faintly. She didn't take it out, not yet. A creak echoed from upstairs. They froze. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. Teddy Bear motioned to Calvin, and they crept toward the staircase, each step groaned beneath them as they climbed, hearts pounding. At the top, the hallway was darker. The windows were covered in thick curtains, and the air smelled of smoke and lavender. A door at the end was slightly ajar. Teddy Bear pushed it open. Inside was a bedroom, lavish but decaying. The bed was covered in velvet, torn and stained. On the dresser sat a cracked mirror and a small wooden box. Calvin stepped forward and opened the box. Inside was a lock of black hair tied with a red ribbon. My mother's, he said quietly. Teddy Bear looked around. She's been preparing something. Suddenly a voice echoed from the hallway. You shouldn't be here. They spun around. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, cloaked, and silent. Teddy Bear stepped forward. Where are my parents? The figure didn't move, but the air grew colder. Calvin reached for Teddy Bear's hand. We need to go. But Teddy Bear's eyes were locked on the figure. Her pouch pulsed again, stronger this time. She felt the key pressing against the fabric as if it wanted to be used. She didn't speak of it, not yet. The figure raised a hand in the hallway behind them darkened. She's waiting, it said, and she's not alone. Then it vanished. Chapter 6. They were in the room still. What was that? Asked Calvin. Teddy Bear was still in shock. Had Fleabag helped from a witch? Fleabag was getting smarter, but how? I think that your mother has had help from a witch, and I need to show you something that might help, said Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear reached in her pack and pulled out the butterfly key that she had found along the river. Hey, I heard about that key. My father had said that he gave it to my mother a present before they got married, but that she threw it in the river, said Calvin. Your mother really is an evil person, said Teddy Bear. Calvin frowned. I know, and she could never truly love anyone like my father had told me. A boy can only hope that his mother will one day love him and forget all about your father. Calvin looked at Teddy Bear. I didn't mean any harm by that, Teddy Bear, said Calvin. I don't mean any harm by that, Teddy Bear, said Calvin quickly, meeting her eyes. I didn't mean to put that twice. I know, she said gently. You're not her. Calvin nodded, but the sadness didn't leave his face. Teddy Bear held up the key. If she threw this away, maybe she didn't know what it could do, or maybe she was afraid of it. Calvin leaned closer. Do you think it opened something in this house? Teddy Bear looked around the room. I think it's time we find out. Teddy Bear tucked the key into her palm and stepped toward the hallway. Calvin followed, quiet but alert, his eyes scanning the shadows. The upstairs corridor stretched out before them, lined with closed doors and faded wallpaper that peeled like old skin. The air grew colder with each step, and the silence felt heavier than before, like the house itself was holding its breath. They passed 2 empty rooms, one filled with broken furniture and another with shelves of dusty books. Then at the very end of the hall they saw a door unlike the others. It was made of dark wood, smoother and newer than the rest. Carved into its center was a delicate butterfly, its wings spread wide, as with swirling patterns that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Teddy Bear stopped in front of it. This is it. Excuse me. Calvin leaned in. The butterfly. It matches the key. Teddy Bear reached in her pouch and pulled out the key again. She held it up to the carving. The shape was perfect. She glanced at Calvin. Are you ready? He nodded. Let's find out what she didn't want us to see. Teddy Bear slid the key into lock, it fit smoothly as if it had been waiting for her all along. With a soft click, the door unlocked. The air shifted. Teddy Bear turned the knob slowly and pushed the door open. Inside was a narrow staircase leading downward. Stone walls, damp air, and with the faint sound of dripping water. A lantern flickered at the bottom, casting long shadows up the steps. Calvin sprawled. She's hiding something down there. Teddy Bear nodded. Maybe our parents. She stepped onto the first stair. Calvin followed. The door creaked shut behind them. The stone steps spiraled downward, each one colder than the last. The air grew thick, heavy with mildew and something darker. Regret, maybe? Or rage? Teddy Bear gripped the butterfly key in its glow, dimming as they descended. Calvin followed silent, his breath shallow. At the bottom, the passage opened into a chamber carved from rock. A single lantern flickered on a hook, casting long, jagged shadows. In the center sat a wooden chair. In the chair was a man. Teddy Bear stopped. Calvin stepped forward slowly, as if the world had narrowed to this one moment. "Dad," he whispered. The man didn't move. Calvin dropped to his knees beside the chair. "No." Thomas' head was tilted, his eyes closed, his skin was pale, his body still. Teddy Bear knelt beside him, placing a hand on Calvin's shoulder. "I'm so sorry," she said. Calvin's voice cracked. "She did this. My mother. Fleabag. She hated him." Teddy Bear looked around. The walls were covered in scratches, some deep, some shallow, symbols, words, and drawings. One showed a boy with his eyes scratched out. Another showed a woman towering over a child, her mouth open in a scream. "She hated me too," Calvin said, staring at the wall. "She used to say I was the mistake that ruined her life." Teddy Bear's heart twisted. "That's not true. She made me believe it was," Calvin whispered. "Every day." He stood slowly, fist clenched. "She didn't just kill him, she buried everything good he ever gave me." Teddy Bear stepped toward a small table. A torn photograph lay there. Thomas holding the baby. Calvin. The baby's face had been burned away. "She couldn't love," Teddy Bear said. "Not him, not you, not anyone." Calvin nodded. "But I can, and I will, even if it kills me." On the far wall, a second door stood, smaller, older, locked with rusted iron. "She's behind that," Teddy Bear said. Calvin wiped his face. "Then let's end this." They walked further and seen a woman in chains, Teddy Bear's mother. They ran to her. Princess was in chains, but still lifted her head and smiled. "My baby," said Princess, her voice not as strong. "How could she have done this to you?" asked Teddy Bear, trying to free her mother. Calvin helped her. "Where is father?" asked Teddy Bear, removing the last of the chains from her mother. Princess got up slowly and looked Teddy Bear in the eyes. "He is with her. He helped Fleabag kidnapping me and raid our village," said Princess. Teddy Bear was taken aback. "What do you mean?" said Teddy Bear. "She means that I betrayed her and you for my one true love, Fleabag," said Golden Wolf as he steps. "She means that I betrayed her and you for my one true love, Fleabag," said Golden Wolf as he stepped out from the shadows. Teddy Bear looks at her father and then at his hands. He is holding hands with her, Fleabag. Teddy Bear holds her mother up, but steps back. "How could you?" said Teddy Bear, with tears forming in her eyes. Golden Wolf laughs. It's not the kind of laugh that comes from joy. It's sharp, bitter, full of something broken. His shoulders shake as he steps closer, the sound echoing off the cave's wall. "You really thought I was ever yours," he says, voice low and cruel. "You were just a piece, a mistake. I chose Fleabag. I always did." Teddy Bear doesn't move. Her hand tightens around the butterfly key. Princess tries to stand, her voice weak. She's your daughter." Golden Wolf looks at her like she's dirt. "She was never mine. She was yours. And you were nothing." The key pulses in Teddy Bear's hand. She feels that heat, like something waking up. Golden Wolf sees it. His smile fades. "Give me the key." Teddy Bear doesn't speak. Fleabag steps forward. "It's mine. Thomas gave it to me." "You threw it away," Teddy Bear says. Her voice is quiet but steady. You didn't know what it was." The key grows brighter. It shifts in her hand. Metal stretches, opens like wings. It becomes a sword. Golden Wolf's eyes widen. Fleabag screams and runs at her. Teddy Bear swings. The blade moves like it remembers. Fleabag falls. Golden Wolf roars and charges. Teddy Bear doesn't cry, doesn't scream. She swings again. Golden Wolf drops. Silence. Teddy Bear stands there, breathing hard. The sword glows soft in her hands. Princess reaches for it. "It chose you." Teddy Bear looks down at the blade. "Then I'll carry it." "How did you know it could do that?" said Calvin. Teddy Bear looked at Calvin. her eyes still wide, her chest rising and falling with each breath. "I didn't," she said. Her voice was quiet, almost whisper. I just held on to it. I didn't let go. She looked down at the sword again, the butterfly wings carved into the blade, shimmering in the firelight. I found it in the mud, she said. I thought it was just something pretty, something forgotten. Kelvin stepped closer, staring at the blade. It wasn't forgotten, it was waiting. Princess put her hand on Teddy Bear's shoulder. It waited for the right hands. Teddy Bear nodded slowly. Then it's mine now. I'm so sorry. Everybody, I have to stretch out my legs. Getting older sucks. She looked toward the cave entrance where the bodies of Golden Wolf and Fleabag lay still. I didn't want to fight, she said, but they didn't leave me a choice. Calvin didn't speak. He just stood beside her. Teddy Bear held the sword tighter. She was only 7, but she was ready to take on any danger that may come her way. We should get home, Teddy Bear, said Princess. Teddy Bear and Calvin helped Princess out of the house. The 3 of them walked for miles, it felt like, until they came to Calvin's house. The note from his father still hanging on the door. I have nowhere to go. Both of my parents are dead. My mother may not have loved me, but she was still my mother, said Calvin. Teddy Bear looked at her mother, who nodded her head. Calvin, why don't you come back with us? You are part of our tribe, explained Teddy Bear. Calvin smiled. That sounds like I truly do belong somewhere. My father would have been proud, said Calvin. They had to fix the sign to say closed forever. Then they all 3 walked back to the village. Chapter 8. All 3 went back to the village to see the chief, Sitting Crow, helping men and women fix the village. Sunshine was picking some corn when she spotted all 3 of them. Sunshine dropped the corn and ran to her sister Princess, and they both held each other tight, crying. Other villagers had noticed, and they too had stopped what they were doing to run to them. Everyone gave them hugs around, even Calvin. Villagers started asking questions, but one voice stood out from the rest. Her uncle, Chief Sitting Crow. Where's Golden Wolf? asked Chief Sitting Crow. The question hung in the air like smoke. Princess opened her mouth, but no words came. Her throat tightened. Her eyes searched the ground as if the answer might be buried there, somewhere beneath the dust and broken corn stalks. Teddy Bear stepped forward. He's gone, she said quietly. A hush fell over the crowd. Even the wind seemed to still. Chief Sitting Crow's face didn't change, but somehow in his eyes dimmed. He nodded once slowly as if it had already known, but needed to hear it aloud. He died protecting us, Teddy Bear added, her voice steadier now, but he also caused much of the pain we carry. Some villagers looked down, others exchanged glances, conflicted, grieving, unsure how to mourn a man who had been both protector and betrayer. Princess finally spoke. Her voice barely whispered. He was my father, but he was the man I thought he was. Meant to say husband. Chief Sitting Crow stepped closer and placed a hand on her shoulder. Truth is heavy, he said, but you carried it here. That takes courage. No one cheered, no one wept. They simply stood together in the quiet, letting the truth settle like ash after fire. Then from the edge of the crowd, an elder woman stepped forward and placed a small bundle of sage at Princess's feet. For mourning, she said, and for cleansing. Princess knelt, touching the bundle with reverence. Teddy Bear joined her, and Calvin stood behind them, silent but present. The village did not erupt in celebration. It breathed, it healed slowly. Chapter 9. Years later. The village had changed, though not in loud or flashy ways. The fences were stronger now. The fields grew fuller. Children laughed freely, and the elders told stories that no longer ended in silence. Teddy Bear sat beneath the old cedar tree, her hand resting on her rounded belly. The sun filtered through the branches, casting dappled light across her face. Calvin knelt beside their daughter, helping her braid wildflowers into a crown. She giggled when he tickled her nose with a feather. Careful, Teddy Bear called out. Well, she'll make you wear that crown all day. Calvin looked up, grinning. If it keeps her happy, I'll wear it to the council meeting. The daughter, bright-eyed and stubborn like her mother, placed the crown on his head with great ceremony. Now you're the flower chief, she had declared. Teddy Bear laughed and winced slightly as the baby kicked. Calvin was at her side in an instant, his hand warm against hers. You okay? He asked. She nodded, just a strong one like his sister. They sat in silence for a moment, watching the wind move through the cornfields in the distance. The rebuilt longhouses stood proud, its carving telling stories of loss, survival, and rebirth. I still think about him, Tabor said softly. Calvin didn't need to ask who. Me too. But I don't carry him the same way anymore, she added. He's part of the story, but not the ending. Calvin kissed her temple. You're the ending, you and her, and him, he said, placing a hand on her belly. She leaned into him, eyes closed, heart full, and somewhere nearby a butterfly landed on the cedar bark, its wings the color of dusk and memory. Inside the teepee, the air was warm with cedar smoke and the faint scent of sweetgrass. Sunlight filtered through the stitched steams, casting soft patterns on the woven mess. Toys lay scattered near the fire pit, hand-carved animals, a doll with mismatched buttons, a half-finished dream catcher their daughter had insisted on making herself. Near the back, tucked in a small alcove lined with folded blankets and keepsakes, sat a carved wooden box. Tabor opened it gently. Her fingers brushed the lid like greeting an old friend. Inside lay the butterfly king. Its wings were dull now, the shimmer faded with time, but its shape remained perfect, unchanged. She lifted it carefully, holding it in her palm. It was heavier than she remembered, or maybe she was just older now, wiser. Calvin stepped in behind her, ducking through the entrance flap. He saw the key and said nothing, just came to sit beside her. I used to think it was magic, Tabor said. It was, Calvin replied, still is. She turned the key over in her hand and unlocked the truth. It broke everything open, but it also led me here. Calvin nodded to us. Their daughter burst in, breathless from playing. Mama, can I show the butterfly key to the baby when he comes? Teddy Bear smiled. One day, when he's ready. She placed the key back in its box, wrapping it in a soft cloth, not to hide it, but to protect it. It wasn't just a relic, it was a promise, a reminder, a piece of her story that would live on quietly in the corners of their home. Outside, the wind stirred the teepee flaps, and the cedar tree whispered. Epilogue. The season had turned many times since the fire, since the truth, since the loss. Tabor stood at the edge of the cedar grove, watching her children chase each other through the tall grass. Her daughter wore feathers in her braids and carried a stick like a warrior. Her son, still wobbling on his feet, laughed as he tried to keep up. Calvin was nearby, carving a new flute from riverwood, humming softly as he worked. The village behind them was quiet, strong, alive, not perfect, but whole. Inside their teepee, wrapped in cloth and tucked in the carved box, the butterfly key remained. It had not been used in years, and it didn't need to be. Its power had already done its work. Tabor sometimes touched it when the dreams came, when the past whispered through the trees, or when her daughter asked questions with eyes too old for her age. She would hold the key and remember the pain, the betrayal, the courage it took to face it all. But she didn't live in that place anymore. She lived here in the laughter of her children, in the warmth of Calvin's hand, in the stories she told around the fire. Stories not of monsters and secrets, but of healing, of truth, of love that endured. The butterfly key had once unlocked the door to everything broken, now rested in the heart of everything whole. The end. And I did want to read to you guys, if you do happen to read it. Dear readers, I want to thank you so much for buying this book. Thank you so much for buying this. I don't know why I wrote it like multiple times. And for stepping into Teddy Bear's world. This story was born from a place of deep emotion, grief, resilience, and the quiet power of truth. It's about what we carry and what we lose and what we choose to protect. Teddy Bear's journey is not just fiction, it's a reflection of the strength I've seen in real life, especially in the people who shaped me. I want to thank my parents who are no longer here, but whose love still lives in me. Their memory guided me through the story. They taught me how to listen deeply, how to fight gently, and how to believe in stories that heal. They taught me to never ever give up. This book is for them as much as it is for you. Thank you for walking beside Teddy Bear, for honoring her silence, her courage, and her truth. We all need it in life. With all my heart, Lisa May. For Mom and Dad, always in love and memory, Elder Roberts. April 22nd, 1951 to April 24th, 2025. And Richard Roberts Jr., August 2nd, 1956 to April 11th, 2024. And I'm gonna And I hope you guys buy it and enjoy it.